You're listening to Co-Parenting with Grace, the podcast for families raising kids across two homes. I'm your host, Jody Grace, wife, bonus mom, professional peacekeeper, and your teammate in this beautiful work of co-parenting. So put that red lipstick on, Grace family, and let's get into it. Welcome back, Grace family. Before we get into it today, I've got someone to introduce. You're going to hear another voice in today's episode. She is my best friend and the person who knows me better than anyone. She's my sister, Taylor. This is her first episode joining me on the mic, and I couldn't be more excited. You will hear her throughout this season because I knew I needed someone to keep me on task. And she's been doing it for years. Taylor is a biological mom navigating her own parenting journey. And as it turns out, she and I share a really unique bond. She is the biological mom of fraternal twin boys, and I am the bonus mom of fraternal twin boys. So, twins is all we've ever known, and she paved the way for me. Hers are, 12 years old. I can't believe that. I think that we both agree that God knew we needed each other for this twin motherhood journey. Growing up, it was just us two girls. We are learning all about boys, let me tell you. She's been someone I can learn from, lean on, and let's be real, the hand-me-downs aren't bad either. Taylor is walking a different co-parenting road than I am, and I know her voice is going to speak to you a lot. She'll be jumping in throughout this episode with her thoughts, a few questions, and probably a little sisterly sass as well, because that's just what we do. So, welcome, Tay-Tay.
Yay! Hi, sister.
I'm so glad that you're here.
Me too.
This just be easier with you here.
Well, we've been chatting for years. Yeah,
Indeed.
I'm so excited to be here as a fellow co-parent and just talk about something that's near and dear to my heart. Hopefully reach someone that might need it.
Absolutely. That's what we're doing today. And with every episode is creating a new narrative, opening up a safe space for a conversation that's not usually had out loud.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I think it's important, and I know this is going to reach the people it needs to. So with that, let's talk about co-parenting.
Okay.
It's a word that feels so common now, but honestly, it wasn't something that we ever heard growing up. Our parents were either together or they weren't. No roadmap, no Instagram page filled with co-parenting hacks and quotes and blended family vacation ideas. In fact, the term co-parenting didn't even start showing up in articles and research until the late 1980s.
That's insane.
I know. Before that, divorce and custody were mostly talked about in terms of legal rights, who had control, not about people who actually parented across two homes. But it wasn't until the early 2000s that the word really took off. And that's when therapists, family advocates, and yes, social media started using it to describe a mindset, a framework for parenting apart together. And even now, co-parenting means 100 different things, depending on who you ask. Now, the word co-parent wasn't officially defined in the Oxford Dictionary until, are you ready for this?
Hit me with it.
2018.
That's insane.
The verb.
That was yesterday.
I know. 8 years.
Yeah.
I mean,
no,
your
7. Whatever.
Children are older than that.
Yeah.
Oh, 7 years.
Yeah. Math is hard.
It's never been my strong suit. 2018. So
that's crazy.
The verb co-parent is to share the duties of bringing up a child, especially when a couple is separated or not married. So when we're talking about co-parenting, we are talking about a shared parenting journey, raising a child together while divvying up the responsibilities, even if you're in separated homes and no longer romantically involved.
I think, I don't know why it seems crazy, but it was kind of taboo to talk about it because
it
it's
was
directly linked to relationships, marriages, divorce.
Yeah.
And we just sort of made us uncomfortable. We didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah. Well, and I think when a marriage doesn't work, that alone used to be taboo. Like,
Yeah.
like there was some kind of a failure or something that didn't
And
work.
we're all human here. So.
Well, absolutely. And as we know, at least 50% of homes
Yep.
are blended these days.
Absolutely.
So why aren't we talking about it?
We absolutely should be.
You know, it's 2025. We're talking about all kinds of things these days. So let's talk about blended homes, surviving a co-parenting journey, no matter what yours looks like, no matter what style of co-parenting you're currently doing.
Yeah. And raising functional adults out of it.
Yes, because statistics say they may end up in their own co-parenting journey one day. So let's set an example. So co-parenting, some think of it as a peaceful partnership. Others hear the word and want to throw something because it's been a constant battle. The truth, there's no one size fits all when it comes to this. It's complicated, it's messy, it changes with the seasons. But underneath it all, whether you're high conflict, parallel, or peaceful, you're still showing up for your kids in the best way you know how. Sometimes we just need to work on that a little bit. Do the work, do the hard work, which is not easy.
It's not, but it's typically most rewarding.
Absolutely. And most necessary when trying to raise well-rounded children, healed children, and not create that same cycle.
Yes, breaking the cycle is huge.
Exactly. So that's what we're talking about today. What is co-parenting really?
What is it?
So when I hear the word co-parenting now, honestly, it still makes my stomach turn a little.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I mean, maybe I do know why, but co-parenting scared me when I first stepped into it. I didn't know how to do it. I didn't know what to expect. And with my husband and his ex having their own history, their past together, I was even more nervous.
See, and this is where like we're in the same arena, but we're sitting in like completely different sections.
Right.
And so we're experiencing very similar things with very different perspectives.
Right.
Because, you know, I came from being married for over 10 years and we, you know, wanted to have kids together, wanted to raise kids together.
Right.
And it just looks very different from your situation.
From our journey, yes, where, you know, it wasn't a planned experience, but here we are trying to make it work. And you have, like you said, 10 years of married experience under your belt with the person that you are co-parenting with.
Yeah, very different.
And in our situation, you know, my husband and his ex dated for a brief period and, you know, ended up, you know, having children, and we're never married. So that's why we're talking about this today, because everybody's journey is different. Just like me and you, there's no two situations that are alike.
Nope, not at all.
Yeah. So, you know, when I came into the picture, they were still trying to figure it out. My husband and I started dating when the twins had just turned 2, and I met them right after they turned 3. So everything still felt raw, disoriented, and tense for sure.
And that's still just so early in their little lives.
It is.
And speaking as someone who's raising twin boys and who has had twin 3-year-olds, it is really hard.
It's chaotic.
And for you to walk into a family that's already there, that would be very difficult.
Right. And a family that's already there and is, you know, fairly divided at this point still.
Sure.
Emotions are still really raw. And, you know, I talked to the boy's mom about this very specifically this week, actually. And she said, you know, we weren't co-parenting at that point because we were surviving. We were literally trying to figure out, you know, what was up from down. So she was like, I don't even know if there really was co-parenting in the early days, because
I can't imagine with twins.
No. Yeah. And when your emotions are still high from, you know, your past relationship. Right. So that definitely plays into it. You know, what I thought co-parenting would be and what it actually is turned out to be two very different things. I imagined we'd all be on the same page, that we'd get along, that surely we'd all raise these kids in the same way. But here is what I have learned. When you get 3 different adults with 3 different backgrounds, 3 different upbringings, and 3 different perspectives, it's hard to align on what's right and what's wrong. And when it comes to raising the same kids, you're looking at things through 3 different lenses.
So many moving parts.
Absolutely. So co-parenting feels like all the things sometimes. It's a shared effort. It's a hot mess. It's a one day at a time, ever evolving dynamic because you've got humans with real deep feelings, and the way things work can change day to day. For my husband, he preferred to keep things simple, just about logistics. No more communication than is necessary. But for me, I didn't know how to just be acquaintances with someone. I feel big, I love hard, and I wanted to know the woman who was the mother of the children I was helping raise.
Well, and I think too, stepping into your role, you're sort of counterparts.
You are.
You and their mom. And so to keep it logistics, I mean, and every personality is different.
Right.
But like, that doesn't go with your Enneagram type,
No, it doesn't. Exactly.
That's not how you thrive.
Mm-mm. No. And, my husband and I have had to learn that that's fine, that's what works for him.
Right.
That's what keeps peace for him and in his body. And for me, that he respects that my being, in better communication with her or having a closer relationship with her is more beneficial for me and what works for my mental health.
That's huge to have that understanding.
Yeah. A mutual respect for each of our different experiences.
Right.
Yeah. But because I wanted to know the woman who I was raising children with. And honestly, trying to keep her at an arm's length felt impossible because every time I tried to make it all business with her, denying my own emotions or shoving them down and just getting through a conversation, it felt like I was holding poison in my body and it didn't align with who I am. Like you said, it's not my Enneagram. That is not my personality type. And truthfully, that was just a foreign feeling to me. I've never had enemies, but I've only been at odds with like one person in my life, and it was an old roommate like 20 years ago.
Right.
So,
oh my gosh, 20 years.
Yeah. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard to hold the feelings I had about her because of my husband's experience, because of the way their relationship ended and what I knew about it, and still honor the love that I have for him. And yet I also knew I was going to have to raise children with this woman for the next 15 years of my life, no matter what.
At least, yeah.
So I had a choice. I'm a believer in Jesus, as you know, and I knew in my heart, I couldn't hold on to anger and resentment or bitterness. So I've prayed about it intently, without ceasing, and I had to leave it at the Lord's feet. I had to forgive her. I had to forgive her for, what I know about their experience. I had to forgive myself for the feelings that I carried. And I had to ask God to help us see this mission through and to use me in the best way for this dynamic.
And I think the word carried is really important there, because to honor your feelings, to honor, your husband's experience, you're carrying a lot.
Yeah.
And then
It gets heavy.
It gets so heavy. And to give the boys the upbringing, and even just daily needs that they deserve.
Oh my God, the dog is snoring.
I hope you can hear it.
Franny, stop snoring. She is
Franny,
deep in it.
She's the third host.
Well, this is real life, folks.
Yep. Snoring dog.
Sorry, I cut you off.
That's
the dog
okay.
distracted me.
Where
it's my
was
own
I?
ADHD.
Yeah, squirrel.
Yeah. Well.
I think I kind of remember here. But to carry that is a lot.
Yeah.
And so for you, putting that down meant creating a bridge between you and their mom.
Absolutely. And I have no doubt about my purpose in this world, and that's being a good mother to my boys.
Yeah.
And being a foundation for my family, for my husband, being that peacekeeper, being, and I'm not saying sacrificing myself or my own needs. If anything, I feel like I'm honoring my own needs in the dynamic that I have set up with their mother and with my husband as well.
Sure. And you had a picture of what motherhood looked like for you.
Oh, I did.
And it definitely is, it turned out differently.
Yep. It didn't. This is not what I dreamt up.
Yeah. Ditto.
Yeah.
It's all about how you respond to what happens to you, though, right?
It is. It's exactly what it is. You have the opportunity to respond in whatever way you choose. And I think that's what people need to realize and need to reflect on, is that especially when you're in a high conflict situation, your responsiveness can drive the bus.
It does. Yeah.
Choose how you want to drive that.
Right.
You choose what direction it goes. So, but for us, we have found a balance, one that we are constantly molding and reshaping as life happens. Co-parenting is a reality I never imagined for my life, as we said. And though I wouldn't trade it for the world, I am still learning how to carry the weight of it, the heaviness, the hard days, and even the unexpected grief that sometimes comes with it.
It's a lot of grief that comes with it. I
Yeah.
think that's important to note.
Yeah, and that it's okay to feel that.
Oh, yeah.
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 There's no shame in it. It's okay to be vulnerable and to feel everything. I think feeling it is the only way to work through it.
The only way out is through.
Yep, absolutely. So, there's absolutely no one way to do this. I don't sit here and pretend like I know right from wrong. I have all the answers, or we do it the best way, because, man, we screw it up all the time. We're learning, and co-parenting looks different for every family. So even within the same family, the dynamic can shift within seasons. And what matters the most is making sure your kids don't have to carry the weight of that. I want them to understand what co-parenting is, because let's be honest, statistically, like we said, there's a 50-50 chance they will be navigating it themselves one day. But that never means asking them to shoulder the emotional load.
No. And that can be a hard one, I think, for a lot of people.
Very much.
But that's something that's really important to me is,
Yeah.
there's a balance between being real with them and, like you said, teaching them what it should look like,
Right.
in case they are in that position one day, and then also not putting adult feelings on them.
Parentifying them.
Parentifying, that's it.
Absolutely.
That's the word.
For us, I would say we move between peaceful and parallel. It's an ebb and a flow. Peaceful co-parenting feels uneventful. It's where the adults have done the hard work of healing, where we've learned how to put the kids' needs above our own emotions. But when we shift into parallel parenting, it's usually because feelings, ours or theirs, get in the way of communication.
That's interesting, since my dynamic is very different. It's just me and my boy's dad co-parenting. Neither one of us have, a spouse yet. And so, the parallel parenting, that's something that I don't know that I'm familiar with.
Right.
It's interesting.
Right. Because you guys, there's no outside dynamic. You've been able to keep it peaceful. And because you guys have both healed from your divorce, you're amicable.
They were 7. So we parented under the same roof for 7 years.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And you've known each other since you were 17.
Right.
Too.
Yeah. We kind of grew up together.
Yeah, exactly. You're great friends.
Right.
I'd wager you are better friends and parents now than you were 5 years ago.
I think so too.
Yeah. I have watched friends cycle from parallel to high conflict and stuck in a pattern where nobody wins. I haven't even gotten started on what that does to the kids, but let's talk about what it does to you, to your body, your mind, your spirit. Whether you're fueling the conflict or just reacting to it, it's exhausting. Now, I know some of you listening might be thinking, okay, Jody, there you are being a self-righteous ass. You don't even know the half of it.
God,
You've
Jody.
probably had it easy, and now you're telling me to just be nice. And that is not what I'm saying.
False.
I am certainly not speaking from a pulpit here. So I'm just asking you, what can you do to make it better? What can you do or say to avoid provoking or reacting? Because the kids are watching. They hear everything. And if you think they don't know how you feel about their mom or their dad
They know.
or their step parent, you're wrong. They
Right.
do know. They
Mhm.
feel it. So, and that's not even touching on the families who speak openly against their children's parent right in front of them.
Oh, that's so tough.
That is tough. And I know that comes from a place of deep hurt. But our kids don't get to choose their parents. You chose their parents,
Right. Yeah.
unless you didn't, in some
Sure.
situations, maybe you didn't, maybe it
But
was an accident.
reality is what it is. And then
The kids for sure didn't
no.
get a say
Yeah,
in it.
they did
So,
not.
no matter how big of a shitbag you think their parent is, you have to respect your children.
You're not
enough.
punishing the person who your anger really is at. You're punishing the kids.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I think too what is so important about that, because again, I don't judge anyone. It's a very difficult thing. It's a very weird position to be in. But I think that's where, like, you don't blame the child that went through what they went through to
Right.
get them where they are, but the adult has a responsibility to heal
Absolutely.
so that they don't bleed on their kids.
Right. Yeah. Because you bleed on, what's that saying?
But it's the people, you'll bleed on the people that didn't cut you.
Exactly. So, I feel pressure to perform all the time. Most of that comes from me. Pressure to be my best, to give my kids more than I had, to stop generational trauma in its tracks. And even though half is out of my control. Early on, I felt like I had to pass some kind of test with my husband, with the boy's mom, because if I didn't, how would they ever trust me? Or my love for the kids. I still fight imposter syndrome, but we'll save that for a different episode.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It is. I've wanted to perform for my kids too. They already had a mom and a dad, and what could I possibly give them that they didn't already have? I've done a lot of work in counseling around that. Giving myself grace has become a daily practice.
Well, and someone who gets to watch that, how you parent them and your dynamic with them. And I'm sure this is something you've come to realize, but you become your own thing, you know, like that's mom, that's dad, and you're Jode.
Exactly.
And your dynamic with them is just, it's its own thing. It stands on its own.
I love that. I really love that, because you're right. I don't have to compete with mom or dad.
No.
I give them
You can't love a kid too much.
No, you can't. And I do nothing but add to their life.
Absolutely.
And that's how it should be. That's how it should be. I don't have to be perfect. Neither do you. And honestly, nobody expects us to be.
Except us.
We just have to keep showing up with love, with a willingness to do the hard work on ourselves for our kids and for yourself too. I don't want to deny that you have to do this for you. Do the work for you. You benefit more than anyone. You have to put your own life, breathing mask, oxygen mask on first before you can put anyone else's on.
I love a good quote. And it's the whole, if you don't take care of you, who's going to take care of them?
Exactly. Because it's a domino effect, and it starts with you. So no performance needed. What version do I wish I could have? I'm finally stepping into now, like the peaceful one, the version where we're not questioning each other's motives, where trust is being built. And, that's an ongoing thing, but it is being built in a place where it wasn't easy to give or receive, where we're not threatened by each other, where we're a team. That's the version of co-parenting I think that I am looking for.
Yeah. And that's no small feat.
No, again, because you're dealing with 3 different people, 3 different experiences, 3 different lenses. And, but I try to focus on what I bring to this dynamic.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, we're a team that's been given an unbelievable gift and an opportunity to get this right. And that goes for everybody in this situation. All right, so we're going to shift gears a little bit. I've spoken from the heart, and you'll know I'm going to keep doing that. But now I want to get into some practical realities of co-parenting, the day-to-day stuff. So let's talk about communicating schedules.
Oh, that's a tough one.
It's constant, right?
Well, yes. And I mean, kids are, activities, school, there's just so much to juggle anyway.
And then when you're juggling 2 holidays or 3, because now that, I'm married to my husband, my
they see our family.
They do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're trying to juggle 3 different Christmases.
Yeah.
And, for some, I'm certain there's 4, or
sure.
it's just different for everybody. But, so at first, it was rough for us, mostly because I left it to my husband.
Yeah.
So, and I love that man more than life itself.
We all have our, strong suits, and that scheduling may not be one of his.
Men. It's just,
I hate to say that, but
most men, I would wager, it's just, communication is not their strong suit.
Maybe not all,
not
but
exactly born communicators, but most of us women, I believe, are planners. At least I am. I'll speak for myself.
Yes.
We're booking the vacations, making the dinner reservations, coordinating the grandparent visits.
Doctor's appointment.
Exactly. And when you're doing this with 3 adults in the mix, good and early communication is a must, at least for me and my brain. I need it.
So can I ask you a question?
Yep.
Because I don't have this dynamic. Do you guys communicate on one text thread?
So we do. In the early days of my being involved in the boys' lives, when I started helping with pickup at preschool or drop off at mom's house, my husband created a shared text group so that we could all 3 communicate on one text thread.
That's nice.
It is, because I found before that, man, my insecurities were at an all-time high when they would have to communicate about the kids. But here I was stepping into a parent role, but I wasn't involved in that communication.
Which logistically is not helpful, because then somebody has to be the go-between.
Right. Well, and again, that's my man, unfortunately, has to be the one to relay that message. And sometimes it would come through in bits and pieces. And so it definitely helped.
Like the game telephone.
Yes.
By the time it gets to you. It's like...
And by the time, with us having that group text, it just, it really started to make things better and not as chaotic. So, my husband and the boys' mom are both way more relaxed about scheduling things than I am, which makes my friends laugh and probably makes you laugh, because single Jody flew by the seat of her pants.
Yeah.
But wife Jody and Mama Jody, Jode, she likes a nice, well thought out plan. And
I'm a planner, but I do think you and I have had some role reversal as moms.
Yeah.
And it's funny to me.
For sure.
Yeah. We behave a little more like our birth order now.
Which is so weird.
It's
weird, never happened that way.
I used to try to mother you.
I needed one. So, I don't know what it is, but I have this need to know what's happening so that my expectations are in check. Our schedule with our kids is 2-2-3. So if we have them Monday, Tuesday, she'll have them Wednesday, Thursday, and then we have them Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And for the most part, that works for us, and we stick to it.
Right. Yeah. That's similar. That's what we do. And of course, we have made it to where we have the same weekends because we want our boys to be able to spend time together.
Yeah. And when we visit our parents, we have it at the same time, which is really nice. Big holidays, we either alternate or split. When we take trips, especially when we head to Oklahoma, where we're from, a couple of times a year. Their mom has always been good about accommodating us when it falls on her days.
Yeah, she's really generous about that.
Very, very generous. And, I'll be honest, I've never understood co-parents who are like, oh, hell no, this is my day. They're not going. Like, why? Who is that really about?
Well, and I feel like some of that is, if you had twin boys, I'm a little more like, phew. It's not my day. I mean, I love my children.
Yeah, there's some friggin' relief in it.
Yeah, I'm human and I need the break.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And again, it goes back to, it hurts the kids to not, I talked to a friend recently who had her grandmother's funeral, and her ex would not allow the kids to go with her because it was on his weekend.
Yeah, I don't understand that.
No. And one day your kids are going to know that that's what happened and that you were the one who kept them from that closure, that experience.
They will know.
And I don't know. I just, when I say who is it about really, if you can't answer that honestly, you might want to take a long look in the mirror.
It might be about you.
It's about you for sure. So, for us, handling communication got a whole lot easier when we set up that group text with the three of us. I loved that. It opened the door for better communication, and it took the pressure off of him to be that gatekeeper. And it kept him in the loop when she and I would speak, which has definitely been helpful.
Yeah, and probably better for your relationship.
Absolutely.
Because then that's not an added stressor.
No, exactly. And I'm a texter, so sometimes I can be an over communicator. Just ask him.
Do you text a novel?
Oh, I try not to these days, but I think our boy's mom is a little like me in that way. And in the beginning, we both felt this need to send long texts, explaining, justifying, or over explaining. And I think it came from wanting to be understood. You and I both know we both struggle from that. Having a need to be understood, or maybe from feeling like we've had to prove ourselves. Like if we didn't explain every move, we'd be judged.
Yes. Yeah. And that's just something that's deep.
Yeah.
And it takes practice to let that go and just say, I have no control over the outcome. Yeah. And so it doesn't matter if they don't get it.
Yeah. And that's hard for me. Mm-hmm. I think, the boy's mom felt that way even more. Like we were this team and she was the odd man out, being criticized for everything. Because sometimes if I would text about something and he would text about something, I think she, felt ganged up on a little bit. And it's never your intention. And sometimes, a lot of times, I think sentiment gets lost in text conversation.
Oh, yeah, because there's no tone.
No.
And just depending on what mood you're in. And
yes.
I mean, I feel like there's so much unspoken communication when you're talking.
Yeah.
And you can't see that. It's all you're reading it. And you don't know what someone's body language is like.
Yeah, or facial expressions and luckily she and I have had some really great talks about that since and are definitely on the same page. But most of our early missteps, that came down to plain old miscommunication. Like we said, text messaging gone sideways. And I'll say this for every co-parenting situation out there, if you're relying on text messages, you're walking a fine line. It's way too easy to misread text, to misunderstand tone, to misinterpret intention. And a 5-minute phone call has saved us from a whole day's worth of back and forth and a whole lot of unnecessary hurt feelings.
We've definitely kind of gone through that, you know, in the whole trial and error. And over the years, I'm the texter and I'm somebody who's like, if my phone rings, it's like, well, this is not what that's for.
Who's calling?
Yeah. Why is someone calling me? That's so aggressive.
We don't call anymore.
No. And he is a caller.
Yeah.
But, a lot of the times too, it's like because he's driving or, and it absolutely does just simplify things. And it takes a lot of the guesswork out of it.
It does, and besides too much texting, my husband, that really overwhelms him. Yeah. That's something I have worked on is, because he's at work, works with his hands.
Sure.
So if he gets a message, it needs to be something that's important because he'll have to stop what he's doing. He needs to pick up his phone, and he works, with heavy machinery, big tools, and could get hurt if he's not paying attention. So,
and then if he can't respond because it's like, hey, what's for dinner? Then he worries probably that, you're concerned because he's not responding.
Yeah, absolutely. We definitely have tried to work on that. But, let me circle back to the holidays for a second. I mentioned that briefly because, man, holidays are a whole different thing in co-parenting. Like I mentioned, we're looking at three-way Christmases and trying to schedule that out. But, we alternate Christmases for now, but for a few years before I came into the picture, or even I guess in the early days. So probably up until last year or the year before, maybe till like first 4 or 5 years, the boys would split that day. They'd start Christmas morning at our house and then would head over to their mom's around noon. And it worked for a while, especially while they were little. And I had just come into the picture. But one year it hit me. I was sitting there watching them open their gifts. And we had to tell them, okay, it's time to put down your toys. We got to get ready to go to mom's for Christmas. And it was a light bulb moment. This shouldn't be what Christmas Day looks like for the kids.
Yeah, that's tough.
I get that both homes want those moments. I really do. But it made me wonder that it's about the parents, or is it about the kids? Who is it about when you're saying, nope, we're splitting this day because I want you.
And this is something
Dad wants you, and Dad wants you, and I want you.
That even, our parents are still married. We're married, raising us. But our dad, I feel like, taught us this well. It doesn't matter what the day is.
Yeah.
You can have that holiday. It can feel special no matter what the day is. Right. And I think that, with co-parenting situations, it's really important to look at it that way.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you are making it about you.
You are. Well, and I mean, even for us when we were kids coming from a one household raising, there were mornings where we got up on Christmas and we'd open gifts.
Both
and
sides.
Then boom, we'd head out and go to grandma's or, and
we did that a lot.
We did. And that's just something that, we have chosen. And I know our parents didn't like that.
No,
and
I think that's why
they talk about it now.
They taught us that.
Well, and I know now it's why they're like, we'll come up the weekend before.
Right.
We don't want you guys to travel on Christmas.
Some pressure.
Yeah.
And so they're not going to do that.
Exactly. So, I also knew that, as a blended family, I would potentially be the one to sacrifice ever spending Christmas with my family or my kids getting to experience that day with our side.
As the bonus mom.
As the bonus mom, yeah. Because especially if we continued to split that day. So that's when we really decided, alternating years is what's best for the kids. It's going to make the day so much smoother. And, like you said, so we get them the 5 days leading up to Christmas and somebody gets them Christmas Day for the 5 days after.
Yeah.
It's just as big of a deal.
And for them, and like you said, that splitting the day when they were younger was not as big of a deal because they're not quite as aware. They
don't understand it.
Those are the days you can like shop Santa for them while they're in the shopping cart. They have no idea. Yeah. But as they get older, they start to have a say. And I know my boys don't like to move on Christmas Day,
right?
Because this is something they've been asking for and anticipating.
They're so excited.
Yeah. And nobody wants to like pack up a game console and move it to another house,
Right. So, well, let's talk about Santa. So,
speaking of.
Yeah. So he comes to both houses in our dynamic.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest, that's not my favorite. But as the bonus parent, sometimes it's not my call. And I have had to make peace with that. So I understand wanting to make it special, but I also wrestle with questions like, does that mean that they should get double the gifts just because they have two homes? Or are we spoiling them out of guilt that they have to live in two homes at all?
So does Santa then in their little minds, he it doesn't follow the day, he follows where they are.
Right.
Like for us, whoever has them on Christmas Day does Santa. Granted, mine are 12 now.
Right.
So that's a little, but they were 7. And so it would just be whoever's house they were at would do Santa.
Which I think would be my preferred way of doing it. But no, so if the boys are here on December 23rd, Santa comes 2 days early here.
I see.
And then when they get to Mom's, Santa has come and he's come there too. So, it's, again, there's more than one ways to skin a cat, as they say. And,
that's the beauty of it too. You get to make it what works for you.
You do.
And if it's not working, you get to change it.
Unless you're the step parent.
Unless you're the bonus mom.
Yeah. So,
but that's a hard spot to be in for you.
It is. It's tough.
You feel like you have less say.
You do. You do have less say, but you don't love less and you don't
spend
less. You don't lose sleep less. You don't know. Yeah. So it is tough, but Birthdays are a little easier. We usually stick with the schedule, so whoever has them that day gets them. But we'll FaceTime or send videos if it's not our day. And when we do have them, we celebrate in our own way. Like you said, it doesn't matter the day. Birthdays though, I love making a big deal out of birthdays.
Yeah,
I really do.
I love a birthday.
Yeah. We haven't had to tackle school birthday parties yet. We just wrapped up kindergarten, but I know it's coming up. But, I can see us hosting joint parties when that time comes.
And everyone can attend both sides.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that, I think, is uncommon.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's more, but my knowledge is a lot from Teen Mom. I feel like
that's a good source, is it?
I mean, it was entertaining.
Yeah, for sure.
But I feel like there was a lot of times where like dad could not show up at mom's birthday party because even there are like parents that don't like, my parents don't speak to my ex, that kind of thing.
Yeah, for sure. There's a lot. I mean, there's a lot of that. I have friends that are very much that way, but, for now we do parties, with cousins, close family. And, that's what we typically do now. I mean, the kids they play with, when they're with us, will come. Now, does it sting to not have them on their actual birthday? Of course it does. Sure. It absolutely does. And I typically will wake up that morning pretty sad, but I can't imagine being the woman that gave birth to them, not waking up with them on that day.
Right.
You know?
It's just a sacrifice for them.
It is. It's a sacrifice and a noble one. So
I'm fortunate in that spot that and granted, because, our history looks different, but whatever tends to work for them, if they want to take a friend to go do something and it's not my day, but I'm going to take them to do it, he will do whatever works for them.
That's so nice. Yeah, absolutely. And what matters is that our kids know they're loved. They know they're celebrated. And that's what I want for every child in a co-parenting situation. No matter whose house they're at, they are loved, they are celebrated. So we're going to transition a bit here into something I call the stuff shuffle or the lots of shit shuffle. I'm pretty sure this only gets trickier as the boys get older until they can drive themselves, or at least make a quick run to the other house when they forget something.
Oh, that's wild to think about.
Right? But listen, there's a fine line, between being tethered to their stuff and just making sure it all gets where it needs to go. Yeah. Clothes back and forth, toys they want to bring, instruments, soccer gear, backpacks, all of it moving between houses like a revolving door.
Or what's worth just having two of.
Right, right. We've always done a good job with this. On exchange days, I try to have everything packed up and ready to hand off. If it's a school day and I'm taking them, I'll do a porch drop. She'll do a porch drop, set their stuff on the porch for each other to grab. And that definitely helps. Right now, it's pretty convenient because I pass her house on the way to and from school. So a quick stop makes it easy. Yeah. In the early days, though, I'd get frustrated if I bought them a new outfit or a pair of shoes, and then I wouldn't see them again for a week or two. Yeah. And, I didn't want to be that person saying, hey, could you please send this back? So, most of the time I'd just let it go. But we have talked about it since, and I have absolutely relaxed on that sense. And,
I mean, it makes sense, though. Yeah. It's just an added dynamic that you never thought you'd have.
For sure. And it's also, like we mentioned earlier, if you, instead of like texting just a quick call or just an open communication, hey, would you mind? And she'll be like, oh my gosh, yeah, just ask if you haven't seen something in a while. I don't even realize it. So, and now that's exactly what I do. Hey, could you send those black shoes back? We're going to need them for this or whatever it is. And same goes. Clothes as they've gotten older is harder to keep up with. When they were little, and my husband and I would be the ones to change them from their clothes into their pajamas. It was easy to just put them in a bag and have them ready. But now, my God, I got to go into their bedroom floor and be like, okay, what is what?
And they might have 3 or 4 changes in a day.
Oh my gosh. Especially my baby B. He is he's so particular about his outfits. But, she and I both know the heart behind it, and that makes all the difference. But If you're out there intentionally holding stuff back out of spite,
Stop it.
who are you hurting doing that?
Mm-hmm.
Knock it off.
Knock it off.
So let's touch on school stuff and the medical stuff. You're really going to hear me dive into education in an upcoming episode, but I've got to give you my 2 cents here. So I fully believe step parents, bonus parents should be involved in school communication, meetings, and parent-teacher conferences, and here's why. First, the teachers need to know who they're working with. They need to understand the dynamic, the why behind how a kid shows up some days, not just physically, but emotionally. Second, how are both homes supposed to put the child first if both homes aren't present? How do we help them succeed if only one half of the picture is showing up to the table? So we'll unpack that more this season, and I can't wait to bring you that conversation. But now onto the medical side of things. This was a big one for me. I remember early on asking the boy's mom if she minded if I came to the doctor's appointments when my husband couldn't take off work. It was important for me and for him to have our home represented because how can a doctor, again, like a teacher, how can a doctor get full story if they're only hearing from a parent who has them 50%
Half
of the time? Yeah.
Which is just huge when it comes to health. And
it is.
If a kiddo breaks their arm or
yeah.
has been sick, what are the symptoms like? When did they, you have to have the whole picture.
You do. And the medical is where things, got tricky for us, for me specifically,
Mm-hmm.
and where the big emotions kick in for any step parent, I'm sure, or at least those who want to be involved like I do.
Right.
One of our boys had to have surgery, tonsils, adenoids, a procedure on his larynx. Who knows? I'm not a doctor. Of course, my husband and I met his mom there. It was her day, the day to bring them. And then after the surgery, he would spend the night before coming home with us the next day. I think I said that right.
Yeah. In the hospital?
Yes. He stayed one night in the hospital, and then it was our day, the day to come home.
Okay.
So the first sting was signing in. So Dad got a parent badge, Mom got a parent badge, and I got a visitor badge.
Why?
It's hospital
Is that like
policy.
protocol?
Mm-hmm. Probably something that needs to be updated, right? Should we write him a letter?
We should. That just seems bizarre.
So, that hit me in the gut. I had loved and cared for this child like my own for 4 years. And
I am not a visitor.
Here I was being labeled a visitor on the day he was going under the knife. So, my husband and his mom have never made me feel like anything but a part of this parenting team. But the hospital did not see it that way. And if I wanted to leave the waiting room to use the restroom, I had to be accompanied or let back in by a parent from the waiting room.
Yeah. It's just kind of insult to injury.
It is. And, after surgery, we went to his room and I stepped back. Well, his mom and his dad comforted him. I tried to stay in my lane, but in that moment, I just didn't even know where my lane was. And then came the part that had been stressing me out for days. Would my husband stay the night with his ex? Would I be asked to leave? If I stayed, where would I even stay? I didn't know how to ask him without making him anxious because I knew this was new for him too. And
things you don't think about.
No, and I sure wasn't ready to ask her.
Sure.
But in the end, my husband said that he wanted both of us to stay. And we neither one wanted to leave our son. And honestly, his mother didn't want it to be alone with him in that state either. He'd had quite the rough evening. So we went down to the car, grabbed our overnight bags. We came prepared and came back through security. And that's when the security guard said, Dad can go, but you'll have to leave, ma'am. It's past visiting hours.
No, he did not.
Yeah. And I swear to you, it took everything in me not to scream. I might have gotten rude. I said, excuse me, I might be a stepmother, but I'm the mother who will be taking this child home tomorrow morning, and you're telling me that I can't stay with my son and my husband? He looked me dead in the eye and said, well, you're not on the list. You're not a parent, so I can't let you in.
Oh, heavens.
I cried right on the spot.
Yeah.
My husband was frustrated. Neither of us knew what to do. This was uncomfortable and confrontational.
A little compassion there.
Yeah, but Thankfully you lived nearby. We both drove in silence to your house, stayed the night.
I remember this.
Came back first thing in the morning. But that night was a holy crap, you really have no say in this kind of moment for me. And if you're a step parent or bonus parent, you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's part of the grief.
It is part of the grief.
Especially when you imagine having your own.
Yeah, and there's just no rule book. There's no rule book for the step parent. There's no rule book from my husband in that situation. There's no rule book for the mom. We even we had to call her to let her know, hey, we're not coming back up.
Yeah.
The last she thought we were going to be right back up.
The plan changed.
Yeah, and he was still, very uncomfortable, and it was a lot for her. And she was devastated. She was like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe, she's like, this will never happen again. We will.
Because to her, you're a mom,
right,
to her.
Right. And, the next day we got there and the nurses were like, oh my God, I wish we would have known. We would have come and made it right. But, something I have said, I'm going to write a letter. I'm going to reach out because
he needs a little sensitivity training.
Well, not only that, but let's update our policy.
Yes.
It's 2025. Yeah. Most families are blended.
That is archaic.
Absolutely. So let's make some changes here. But, one of the hardest parts of co-parenting for me and for my husband was realizing that we don't have total control. I think you realize it, but practicing that and what's the word I'm looking for? Accepting that. And so I'll be honest, it's still a struggle. That's something we both really have to work hard at. And the truth is she doesn't need our permission or approval for anything she chooses to do in her home, right. Just like we don't need hers. But here's the thing. We do take the time to talk about what's happening in both homes. When we actually sit down and discuss how a decision in one house might be affecting things in the other, that's where mutual respect is built.
Yeah, you have to talk about it.
Yes. So
read each other's mind.
Exactly. My husband and I tend to run a tighter ship. And I'm not saying that she gives them free rein. She definitely doesn't.
Sure.
But, she's raised grown children. This isn't her first rodeo. She's got grown children. And, for us, these are our first kids, our only kids. So, yeah, we may be a little more uptight.
Yeah, it's a different perspective.
It is. But she respects that, or at least lets me believe she does. I think she does. No, she does. And she takes this into account and how we might feel about certain things. Like the time the boys mentioned a game that they'd been playing on her iPad, and my husband and I were not thrilled. We'd shared our concerns with her, and even though she didn't totally agree, she deleted the game. Of course the boys came home saying, Mom said you won't let us have our game anymore. And listen, I'm pretty sure that's co-parenting kid 101. They learn that trick early, right?
Oh, they do. They are not good messengers.
No. And they're going to pit one against the other. They're going to manipulate. That's just nature. But, for us in this game, it was just about age appropriateness, and he and I are neither one gamers, if you will. So I just didn't know enough about it.
Well, if they're your first, if you had an older child, you might.
Exactly. And, fast forward a year, and she and I were riding together to take one of the boys to a doctor's appointment. And she said, okay, so I've been sent with specific instructions to ask you if baby A can please have the game back now that he's a little older. And I told her, I said, I don't mind as long as, that chat feature is turned off where he can't talk with, he can't even really read, but yes, it absolutely is about protection, and they're just so young and pure and vulnerable. But
oh my gosh.
I knew my husband would probably feel the same. And I said, okay, I'll go home and I'll work on it, see if I can't get Dad on board. And you know what? After some conversation and a little persuasion, Dad agreed too. So
I love, though, that he knew to go to his mom and he discussed it and like asked his mom to go to you.
Well, I think it's still like that with me and you, right? If mom wants something from Dad, she comes to me.
But for it to be you and the other mom, it's right. That's really funny. And it's cute.
And mad respect for her for bringing it up the way she did. A lot of parents would have just said,
sure.
I don't need your permission. It's my house. I'll do what I want.
She kind of leans into it.
Yeah.
But depending on what it was, that determines which parent you go to.
Yes. And, because she brought it to us, we kept that consistency, and our boys got to see that mom and dad and Jode are all on the same team.
You cannot.
Yeah, you can't play one house against the other. And let's talk about the mental load, the one nobody sees. It's heavy. And I know there are moms, stepmoms, dads, and stepdads listening who get it, especially if you're a step parent who wants to be just as involved as a biological parent. It can be brutally hard. Even your spouse may not fully understand what you're carrying. Just like the game, it was automatically assumed that I was the reason they couldn't have it. And, a few weeks ago, one of my boys looked at me and said, I don't really need two moms. I just need a mom and a dad.
Ugh.
I know. And
it's rough.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Sure. He's trying to make sense out of it.
He is in his young mind. And, which is exactly why it stung.
Killer kid.
I know, right? Brutally honest. Mm-hmm. But I get it. I get it, buddy. None of us chose for life to look like this. Right. And it's hard to understand even for me in my 40s. I can't imagine what it feels like at 6.
Yeah.
Was I hurt? Absolutely. I'm human. And I had to fight off that inner voice that said, he's right. You're not needed. You'll never be a real mom. You'll never be loved like he loves his parents. But I didn't say a word to him. Later, when the time was right, I told him, I said, you know what? You're right, bud. You don't need two moms, but how cool is it that you get two moms who love you, who each bring different things into your life? And then we talked about, what he loves about mom and what he loves about me. And I told him, I sure am glad I have 2 kids because two is always better than one.
I love that.
Yeah.
It is. We love 2s around here.
We do. We don't know how to do anything else. Everything comes in 2s, right?
So let's turn the questions around on you for a little bit.
Okay.
Sound good?
Okay. Yep.
You're in the hot seat.
Got it. I can do this.
Okay. So I thought we'd talk a little bit about managing conflict and misalignment with your co-parent.
Okay.
So what would you say has been one of the hardest disagreements that you've had to navigate, the 2 of you with their mom?
The hardest conflict. Oh, after one of our sons was diagnosed with ADHD and oppositional defiance disorder, it felt like every day was a fight, not always with each other. Sometimes it just felt like with everyone. The tension was so high. We're getting calls from daycare, the preschool almost daily, tantrums, meltdowns. They'd call and ask us to come and get him. And it wasn't a one-off. It was happening all the time. And this was before we knew, about the ADHD and the ODD. So we were totally lost. What do we do? How do we help him understand his feelings? Should we be disciplining him for hitting, kicking, screaming every single day? We felt helpless.
So hard.
Yes. And, in those moments, it was so easy to fall into that trap of thinking, well, this has to be because of something that's happening at her house, the other house. What's going on over there? Is he just getting away with murder when he's not with us? And the thing was, we weren't seeing this behavior at home. And it was a rarity really that she would see it there. I mean, there was a time where it would start to rear its head at home, but it didn't start there. So we were all perplexed, and it became this exhausting, emotionally charged season where everyone was just trying to survive. We were missing work. We were trying to help the school understand that threatening him with, if you act like this, you're going to get sent home, wasn't going to work, because guess what? That's exactly what he wanted to hear when he was dysregulated, and, this was a season when you really see how different households discipline. But when we finally agreed to take him to the doctor and we got those answers, it felt like this massive weight came off everyone's shoulders. And, suddenly we had someone on our team, someone who could help us see what was really going on. And that's when we started to give each other a little more grace, for sure.
Yeah, I can see where something that difficult would actually bring you together.
Yeah.
Because, although she has parented before, she probably hasn't navigated anything like that.
No.
And so you're all just kind of at a loss, but want the same goal.
Right. And to have an explanation, to have
that's huge.
Yeah, it's not like, what's wrong with my child?
Yeah.
Why is he acting like this is not him? And you feel that in your heart.
Yes.
And you want so badly to scream that at the people that he's terrorizing. And
Yeah, absolutely.
he doesn't want it either. He would come home and feel this such remorse. He would be so sad, and it was so heartbreaking to watch him go through that we were like, this is not him. This is not our kid. We've got to get to the bottom of this. So once we did, absolutely, it was so much easier to come together and have that understanding.
Yeah, even though you knew, it wasn't going to be easy ahead, just having a why helps so much.
It does.
Have there been times when you and their dad didn't agree on how to handle something with the other household? And how did that affect you?
I'd say there definitely have been times when my husband and I haven't seen eye to eye. Not just about what we think is going on in the other home, but even about things happening right inside our home. And I would wager that's probably the same for most parents. When we first got together, we were both still, healing from some old wounds, and it's taken a lot of hard work not to be just reactionary with each other, with the boy's mom. There were a lot of knee-jerk reactions in the early days, especially on my part. This was so new to me. But one boundary that we set from the very beginning, if my husband and I aren't in agreement, especially on anything involving their mom, we don't hash that out in front of the kids, period. Our boys will never hear us speak ill of their mother. If we want them to respect her and us, we have to lead by example, no matter how we feel in that moment, how we feel overall about the situation. When it comes to disagreements between me and my husband about how we handle something with their mom, 9 times out of 10, it's because I want to address something with her and he'd rather avoid it altogether because, it makes him uncomfortable. But
I think that's probably a common dynamic.
I mean, I don't know. Is that just most men? I think they probably lean avoidant and we lean more anxious.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's, times it's opposite. But
yeah, for sure.
Probably for the most.
Attachment styles and co-parenting, that again is another episode on its
whole episode.
But seriously, he usually understands why I want to bring something up. And if it feels out of alignment with how we parent or what's happened, I think it's important that we communicate about it. Like all things, communication is key. He just prefers, that we keep it business. And like I've said before, that can be hard for me because I need to get things out of my body. I don't want to hold on to stuff or hold it in and let it fester until I explode over something that could have been a short conversation.
Sure.
But, thankfully over time, he's come to trust that if I'm communicating with the boy's mom, it's with respect and it doesn't always have to be this big, let's have a discussion first, thing between us. But if it's emotional or feels like there's a real problem that we want to address together, we always make that decision as a team. Whether I'm the one that's reaching out or he is.
I think what's so big there is that you don't discuss it in front of the kids.
Yeah. I mean, that has to be, that's one thing that.
And you don't speak ill of her in front of the
never.
kids. And because I think that one, I know from just having friends with divorced parents or growing up, I feel like it was relatively common that they just knew that one parent didn't like the other.
Right. Yeah. That it felt like that tension was almost expected.
Yes. Yeah. And it should not be.
No. And that's something you and I will talk more about mid-season. We have an episode that I'm excited to dive into and get more into some of that. But in managing situations where emotions are running high and the kids are watching, we've been touching on that. But all that said, my husband and I are not perfect. Neither of us grew up in quiet households. I think you and I can attest to that. Our parents never hid their arguments from us. And honestly, I appreciate the hell out of them for that. It taught me that marriage and relationships take work. They are not perfect. They are not easy. They are not without fault and not without disagreement.
Yeah, we're not rug sweepers.
No, not at all. And I think it's because our parents weren't. They addressed things. They weren't the kind to sit on their feelings and not talk. They spoke passionately.
Right.
And so therefore that's how I do it. You know, it taught me that just because someone gets mad and yells doesn't mean they're leaving.
Right.
You know, because that's a hard concept. And if my husband and I have a day or a night where there's tensions or emotions are running high, we try our best not to let that spill out in front of the kids. But I'm not going to sit here and pretend that we've never, had a loud, passionate discussion in front of them. One of our boys, is especially in tune with his emotions. He's very emotionally intelligent, and he's come to us before after a disagreement and said, "Hey, let's do some breathing exercises."
That's huge. That's when you know you're doing something right.
I have to give it to my husband. That is him. He started that from a very young age with the boys. That's something he taught himself from a young age.
That's
is
big.
Doing breath work to self-regulate.
Yeah.
And that was very important to him to instill that in our boys young. So yeah, I love that's his go-to, and that he feels comfortable enough to come to us and say, "Hey guys, let's just breathe." Okay.
Yeah, that's big.
So
they have to learn by example to regulate those emotions.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, if tensions have been high, he'll be extra affectionate, with me if he senses that. And listen, there's a fine line between letting your kids see that mom and dad are real people with real emotions, and then crossing that line into making them feel responsible for making us happy again or taking care of our feelings.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I never want to parentify my kids. I don't want them, which for those who don't know what parentification is, a kid who has to grow up sooner than they should because they're made to feel responsible for their parents' emotions. They have to be the adult in the situation.
Sort of a role reversal.
Yeah, far before they should have to.
Yeah.
So I never want, them to feel responsible for my emotional well-being or my husband. So we do our absolute best to shield them from the big stuff while also letting them see that we're human. We have big feelings just like they do. And when we're wrong, we say we're wrong. When we hurt each other, we say we're sorry. And that brings me to something I will shout from the rooftops. You've got to apologize to your kids. If you blow up, if you react in a way that is not self-regulated, they need to hear you say, "I'm human and I'm sorry."
Yeah.
I had a moment where I didn't make the best decision and I apologize for that.
Well, then you're teaching them how to treat you and how to treat others.
Yes. And I think for a lot of people, saying "I'm sorry" is so hard. And that stems from they never heard that growing up.
Right.
Nobody ever told them, "Hey, I'm sorry."
Yeah.
For hurting your feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Our kids need to know that adults are not exempt from needing to apologize, from being wrong.
And they don't deserve an apology any more than it.
Exactly. It teaches them that it's okay to mess up. It teaches them that empathy matters and that acknowledging hurt, even if it wasn't intentional, is important. So apologize to your kids. They deserve that too. And when it comes to emotions running high between, my husband and I and their mom, they don't know it. We're always kind to each other in their presence, even if we're in the middle of working through something behind the scenes. That's something that, we smile in front of the kids. We sit next to each other at soccer games. Maybe a few extra feet in between us if we're,
sure.
But the kids we don't let the kids know if there's tension between the two households, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What's some advice you can pass along to someone in a co-parenting situation that has a conflict?
That's probably, we all deal with that. Everybody is dealing with that, whether it's today or tomorrow. But if I could give you just one piece of advice for handling co-parenting conflict, it's keep doing it with as much grace as you can muster. Stay true to who you are, and whatever you do, don't let your anger speak for you. You don't have to respond immediately. In fact, I say don't. It's more than okay to take a pause, even if all you say in the moment is, "Hey, I need some time to sit with this so I can respond as my healthy self." I'll get back with you in a few hours. It's not weakness, it's wisdom to do it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Let's talk a little bit about, if I could go back, part of my journey and encouraging others in their journey, what I wished I had known. If I could go back and tell myself one thing before entering a co-parenting relationship, I think it would be, first, put on your big girl panties and buckle up, sister, because it's about to get wild. There's just, you don't know what to expect. You can pretend or prepare for what you think it might look like, but you're never going to know until you dive into it. That's right. That's right. So as Donna D would say, put on your big girl panties and let's go. But here's the thing. The love you get with the experience as a mother makes it all worth it.
So rewarding.
And that's not something that came fast. I had to earn that by showing up for my kids and by being consistent. And but I remember even telling my husband in the early days, like, I can't wait till they say that to me like they do to you.
Yeah.
Or I can't wait till they want to sit in my lap to watch Night Night Show like they do with you.
Right.
And, he, the other day even came up and he was like, I hope you can see how the roles are starting to reverse around here. I was like, I see it and I feel it. I'm thankful for it. So
yeah, because he had, default, this is dad.
Oh, absolutely.
You kind of had to work for it.
I mean, he can do no wrong in their
absolutely.
eyes. They love
Hung
dad.
the moon.
He did. Yes. So, I guess what I wish every co-parent knew, or what I hope they know, is that I have learned this. It's not about me. It's not about you. The pointed text, the cold shoulder, the times when it feels like your co-parent is your best friend one day and a stranger the next. Most of the time when people respond the way they do, it is about them.
Almost every of the time.
Yeah, exactly. Their feelings, their fears, their trauma that was planted long before you ever came along. It's got nothing to do with what you have or haven't done. And I get it. It's hard not to see things through your own trauma lens. We all do that. But man, the perspective shift, it changes everything.
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
What would you say keeps you grounded through this journey?
I've said it before. I am a spiritual person and I pray daily. Prayer gets me through every single day, every single season. When I step back and stop trying to control everything and say, okay, Lord, whatever your plan is, everything always works out.
Just surrender.
Yeah, you have to. At least for me, that's what gets me through. And while it's hard, and I know it's hard, I try not to buy trouble by worrying or overthinking, which my husband can attest is a daily struggle for me. But
you're aware.
I am. I'm very aware of it. And, if you're in the thick of it right now, hear me. When I say this, you are not alone. Those of us walking this co-parenting journey, we're a community and we're in it with you. So reach out, find other moms in blended families, Facebook groups, find a counselor or therapist who can help you carry what feels too heavy. And my best advice is pray. You've got nothing to lose by doing it. So, friends, that is our wrap on this episode.
All right.
Taylor, thank you so much for joining us.
Oh my
I
gosh,
am so excited to have you with me more this season. And we will also get to hear about you and your co-parenting journey coming up. So thank you so much for sitting down with us today. Co-parenting is messy. It's complicated. It's a whole lot of learning as you go. Some days you'll feel like you've got it figured out. And to turn around the next day, you'll feel like you're messing it up all again. But if there's one thing I want you to take from this, it's keep showing up. Keep loving those kids. Keep doing the hard work on yourself. Give yourself some grace. No one is asking you to lose yourself or sacrifice yourself. And even when it feels like your co-parent doesn't deserve it, give them a little grace too, because no one is walking this road perfectly. We're all just doing the best that we can with what we've got. And remember, you're doing better than you think. I'm Jody Grace, and you're listening to Co-Parenting with Grace.